Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Joining me today is Utsav Chakrabarti, and we're going to talk about two things. Number one, the new resolution that has been sponsored by Sri Thanedar and co-sponsored by 16 congressmen, perhaps one or two senators. I'm not sure about the Senate part. So Utsav will set me right. And he's also been following the confirmation hearings of Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard and others, and he's also going to give us an update on that. Let's welcome Utsav Chakrabarti. Utsav, namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel. How are you?
Namaste, Shri. Happy to be back.
So, Utsav, talk to us a little bit about HRES 69. I'm going to put up the candidates that are co-sponsoring it. It was sponsored by Sri Thanedar. Go ahead.
So HRES 69 has been reintroduced in the US Congress. This was the more famously known anti-Hindu phobia, anti-Hindu hate resolution that was introduced in the previous Congress in April 2024, again by Sri Thanedar, and it received 23 co-sponsors from both parties by the end of the 118th Congress. So this is in the House of Representatives. So there are no senators involved in this. It's only the members of House representatives that have co-sponsored it. So it's good that this has been reintroduced this year, because if it is reintroduced early in January, just like we have done it, then it has 2 years to go through hearings and then eventually to pass. And the good news is that unlike last time when it was introduced by Congressman Sri Thanedar, but there were no original co-sponsors. He was the introducer, and then later on, one by one, 23 other members of Congress joined in to support him. This time, the good news is that he has introduced it, and there are 16 original co-sponsors from both parties, many of whom were co-sponsors in the previous one, which is very good news. And I'm very happy that many of them actually came here and redid it. 4 of whom are Republicans. So Congressman Pat Fallon, who is a very senior Republican member of the House, again is the first original co-sponsor, which is a very good news. So I'm hoping that this time Congressman Thanedar will succeed in pushing it through for a hearing. And given the situation in America that we faced during the December break, a lot of targeted anti-Hindu hate on immigration, again during the hearings of Tulsi and Kash Patel, this is important. This needs to be in the House. This needs to be on the table of members of the Congress.
So walk it down. Now, let's say that the resolution does indeed pass. What does that mean?
What it means is that the US Congress on record formally recognizes, number one, that there are American Hindus who have contributed tremendously to the American society, and that is part of the resolution, included in the language of the resolution, that American Hindus have inspired big changes in America and have influenced America in many big ways. Number two, it acknowledges that Hindus in America have faced discrimination. Hindu temples have been targeted. Hindus have been harassed, and they continue to be harassed. And for the US Congress to formally acknowledge that, and to legitimize and formally accept the terms anti-Hindu hate and also the word Hindu phobia, which I think is, doesn't apply to Hindus because there's nothing to fear from Hindus, unlike many other faiths. It is important that the American policymakers and the lawmakers acknowledge it. And then going forward, there will be more legal and more policy level changes that can help the community come out of this level of discrimination and hate, especially the targeting of temples.
Utsav, this has tried last time. I think it lapsed out. I think the Congress session finished, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Every 2 years, the House of Representatives finishes. So any resolutions or bills that are not taken up for hearing or passed usually just lapse. So they have to be reintroduced. And the good news is that is exactly what has been done. And it has been done early on January 24th. So, it has 2 years to sit on the tables and go through conversations and, if possible, hearing, and then and then get passed.
So we'll wait to hear from the Congress on what's going to happen. Thank you so much for the update, Utsav. I know you've been working very hard to make this happen, getting to touch base with so many congressmen and women, explaining them what it is and adding more heft to it. The community of Hindu Americans are very indebted to you and your organization for doing all the hard work. I mean, you are right there. We are all, rooting for you. And what little we can, we are going to try and do that. Thank you so much for that. Now, let's take a look at this. The Senate
One thing I want to
confirmation.
add here, Shri, because it is important that you have millions of listeners across the world, especially in America as well. It is important that all are. I must say that every major Hindu organization has been a supporter of this, and they have played a very important role in pushing this. It's not just. I mean, I am based in Washington D.C., so I have an advantage of being here and being close to people. And then the more other important part I really want your audiences to know, especially those living in America, is that this is a point of engagement. This is an issue on which you can approach your members of Congress. And there are hundreds of them. There are only 16 co-sponsors right now. Our goal is to reach 150 co-sponsors in the next 3 to 4 months. And this is a point of engagement for people who are listening to us across the country. Reach out to your member of Congress, request them to co-sponsor. If you know the resolution number, just ask them. And we have a campaign that we're sending around, and many other organizations are doing it too. And I hope Shri, you will be able to post it down in the description below, where you can just sign with your zip code and it will go to your member of Congress for them to co-sponsor it. And that will help a lot. So that's why I want to reach out through you to American people of Hindu origin and non-Hindu origin to request their members of Congress to co-sponsor.
Yeah, and I'll put that link in the description section, viewers. And now let's move on to the Senate confirmation hearing. I was expecting that by Friday we would have got a vote on all these things, except that Thune has recessed for the weekend. What is happening there? Let's start with Tulsi Gabbard, and then we'll go to Kash Patel.
So I was very fortunate to have a unique experience of sitting in the hall when the hearing was happening, and again, being a local in DC offers me this opportunity, and I was able to listen to a big part of Tulsi's hearing and some part of Kash's hearing. And what I realized is that it's a long process. It's a long process, and because RFK's, Robert Kennedy's hearing went really long, and they could not vote on it over the last week. Now, all the votings have been delayed. So the voting for RFK, for Tulsi, for Kash will all happen next week. And which is good and bad, because the good news is that behind the scenes, people can feel up their senators, put pressure on the senators. There is a lot of jockeying going around behind the scenes, including jockeying from President Trump himself, because he really wants these people to get confirmed. And he has trust in them. He has faith in their abilities. And so, in the case of Tulsi, my impression was that there are a lot of holdouts from the Republican side. Within the Republican Party, there are a lot of people, a lot of senators who are part of the so-called establishment, or as many people call them, the deep state. I usually don't use that phrase, but so they don't want Tulsi to be there. And if you were part of the hearing, you would see that Tulsi minced no words. She came out guns blazing. She started off by saying that she's a proud Hindu, and anybody has any issues or questions, they should follow her on Twitter and get to know more about the Hindu faith, her Hindu faith. So that was really funny, and at the same time, proud moment for us. Those of us who were sitting in the hall, and it was very proud moment for us. And then she spoke in detail about the issues that she has supported in the past, including two very contentious issues, one being Edward Snowden and her position on Snowden, and then the other one being her position on her previous conversation and support for Assad in Syria, Bashar al-Assad in Syria, who was one of the people who Tulsi supported back in 2013, 2014, when the rest of the world was very unaware of the dynamics that were unfolding in Syria. And I think Tulsi, in the beginning as well as in the closing statements, came out and said, look, I am not a friend of any dictator or strongman in any part of the world, but I hate Al-Qaeda. And it's a tragedy that within 10 years of 9/11, there is record of many American under previous administration, especially under the Obama administration, and she put this on record. Our government agencies were working with and supporting and funding Al-Qaeda. And that is something that she cannot accept, and she will not accept. So it was a very honest conversation on her part. And she may, to be honest with you, any American Hindu watching this, or any Hindu around the world watching this, can take pride in the fact that she stood by her values and she stood by what she believed is the truth, and she did not compromise on it. But the flip side of this conversation is that there are many establishment Republicans who may not like what she was saying because they were part of the same system and the same group of people who were involved in these things, as much as the Democrats were. And I think they might not like to vote in her favor, which is a game that needs to be played. And I'm happy that Meghan McCain, who otherwise is on the side of the so-called deep state establishment Republicans, came out and said that I'm going to go against you if you don't vote for Tulsi. And she came out supporting Tulsi. So that's a positive, I must say. But in my opinion, Tulsi still stands on a sticky wicket, and a lot of work needs to be done over the next 12 hours, 14 hours.
Well, we wish her all the best. And at the time that she made her observation, she was still a Democrat, was she not?
Correct. She was still a Democrat, and obviously the Democratic Party didn't take very positively the things she did, and she was targeted by Hillary Clinton specifically and called, she claimed that she was a quote unquote Russian agent. And it's funny that Tulsi in her presentation also, during the hearing, said that people who don't like me say I'm a Russian agent, I'm an Assad agent, I'm an Indian agent. She specifically named Modi, and people accuse me of being quote unquote Modi agent. But let me tell you, I'm nobody's agent, and the people who say these things to me don't like me because I'm not their agent. Something to that effect, she said.
Very true, very true. Now let's take a look at Kash Patel, and he was equally feisty, I thought.
Kash Patel was equally, and Kash Patel is known for being feisty. I mean, he has the epithet. Many people call him the bulldog. Like, you come at me, I will give it back to you kind of approach that he has built his whole career over. And I think Kash Patel's hearing was long drawn, and most of the attacks on him came from the Democrat side, which is expected. In fact, they sounded very desperate and were going into small nitty-gritties of things, which shows their desperation. But in my opinion, in my understanding, I think there will be a larger segment of Republicans who will not take umbrage to his positions, and more importantly, who will not pick a fight with him. And therefore, I think Kash's confirmation numbers look better, in my opinion.
Thank you so much. And we have a couple of questions from our viewers, if you don't mind. VS wants to know what can be done to change the perception of Hindus and Indic civilizational history at the level of public education. Would this resolution help mitigate the negative narrative?
So, VS, it's a very good question, and it's a question that it is a dogged question because no one single arrow can solve all these points that you raise. There is no one single solution. There is no silver bullet. It is a continuous effort from the community in education, in power, because we need to be powerful in our voices, in the public square, in politics, to be able to educate people. Otherwise, nobody will listen to what you are saying. So it's multiple things that we have to do as a community, and we have to do it consistently. It cannot be that you do it for 2 days a week or 1 day a week or 1 month a year and then we forget about it. It is a continuous process. It's a relative process compared to somebody else's efforts against you. And in this journey, at some point, we will gain positions of power and strength. And by extension, we will be able to, people will respect us more and probably like us more also. So more importantly, I think it is important for American Hindus to understand that they need to be powerful voices in their communities. They need to engage their communities. It's important to be doing things at your state level, city level, as well as at the federal level that we are trying to do. But it's a continuous process, and we are very happy to be part of this process, and we encourage people to be part of us.
Thank you so much, Utsav. Viewers, we are going to keep you posted on this as this thing goes through the rounds. Utsav, we'll welcome you back again when you have an update. And thank you so much for taking time out on a weekend to talk with us. Viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And again, always a pleasure to have you on our channel. Utsav, namaskar.
Namaste, Shri.